Can I get a show of hands from those familiar with game theory? Okay, some of you, but fret not. My dear audience, I hope you were not thinking about literal game theory. No, no, no. The focus of my talk is going to be on the game theory that concerns the science of strategy and its relation to why Southeast Asian students might be pressured to choose STEM. But before we get to that, allow me to provide a brief overview of game theory's origins. It all started when John von Neumann, the gentleman behind me, wanted to become a better poker player. As an established Princetonian mathematician, he thought that he could calculate his way to success by accounting for probabilities. But that did not go as planned. Poker is more than just probabilities, something the great mathematician von Neumann might have failed to get the memo for. The origin story aside, game theory started to gain traction when von Neumann published a book alongside Oscar Morgenstern. TLDR, you can use math to predict the future. The book was originally meant for economists because being able to predict trends meant big bucks for those Wall Street investors. But its applications from social science to warfare soon became apparent. In the years leading to the Cold War, Neumann became a consultant for the United States Air Force's Research and Development Corporation. The main focus of RAND at that time was to game nuclear scenarios. Neumann realized that the Soviet spies had already scouted away the blueprints for the atomic bomb, and that it was only a matter of time before another nuclear superpower was born. So he advocated for preventative war. He suggested that the United States nuked Moscow, nipping the problem in its bud. However, a couple of years later, the Americans discovered that the Soviets had already a stockpile of 300 to 400 nuclear warheads. So von Neumann's preventative war strategy was scratched because of mutually assured destruction and all that fun stuff. You might be wondering how this relates to why Southeast Asian students are getting pressured to choose STEM. But let's take a step back. Are Southeast Asian students really pressured to choose STEM? The numbers are compelling. According to a report by the UNESCO Institute for Statistics, tertiary students in Malaysia and Singapore are among the most likely to graduate in a STEM field, with about 43.5% of Malaysians and 36.3% of Singaporeans graduating with their respective degree. The number for other Southeast Asian countries is lower, but you get my point. You might have also heard or experienced stereotypes that Asian parents like to enforce on their children. It goes something like this: doctors, lawyers, or this third option here. Granted, there may be some room for negotiation, but a closer look at the first two occupations revealed that they are both high-paying jobs with a lot of prestige attached to them. Be honest with me. In an apocalyptic scenario, who would you trust? The doctor or the taxi driver? Me personally, the doctor. Why, you might ask? My rationale lies in the fact that the doctor went through more than a decade of schooling to get to where he is today. And I'd rather be on the good side of the only medical professional in the bunker. This is all just first impressions, of course. Let's get back on topic. Since parents want their children to work in prestigious and high-paying jobs, STEM is starting to feel like a good option. STEM field, as our world is quickly becoming digitized and reliant on technology, the demand for STEM professionals will only grow. STEM fields also pay better on average, and by becoming a scientist, one can come up with countless groundbreaking innovations that could save countless lives. With all of these benefits, some parents, including mine, have started to add STEM to the list of careers that their children can pursue. You might be wondering, how does all of this connect, game theory and STEM in Southeast Asia? As I've mentioned previously, game theory is like the science of strategy. It can be used to predict any situation mathematically. Although Neumann intended for game theory to be used in economics, its theorems still apply in this case. Suppose that there are two hypothetical students in Southeast Asia, Kevin and Bob, considering their college majors, would recognize the demand for STEM professionals and the potential for lucrative careers like computer science or engineering. If both students independently choose STEM majors, they believe they'll have a competitive edge in the job market and higher earning potential. However, if Kevin opts for a non-STEM major while Bob chooses STEM, Kevin will fear being at a disadvantage in terms of future opportunities and financial security. In this scenario, the Nash equilibrium occurs when both students choose STEM. Even though they might prefer other fields individually, neither has an incentive to deviate from their strategy, given the perceived benefits and prevailing societal expectations. So they just end up in STEM, reinforcing the dominance of the subject in the educational landscape. But when STEM becomes too prevalent, the prisoner's dilemma can arise. Consider a similar scenario in Southeast Asia, where the same two students, Kevin and Bob, are contemplating their career paths. Both recognize the importance of STEM, but also, hopefully, recognize the value of diversifying into other fields to contribute to societal development and to pursue their passions. If both students cooperate by diversifying their majors, they may enjoy less competition in their respective fields. But why would Kevin want that? Giving up his chance at being a doctor so that Bob can enjoy less competition? So Kevin renegades from the tacit agreement and decides to go pre-med. In this scenario, the prisoner's dilemma arises. Each student faces the temptation to prioritize personal gain by pursuing STEM, fearing left behind if the other does the same. If both of them decides to go STEM, they will have led to an oversaturation of STEM fields, limiting overall innovation and societal development. In this scenario, of course, cooperation may yield collective benefits, but why would they want that? They choose to pursue personal gain, and thus they create a dilemma where both students must choose one. Decisions have been made. Powerless as we are to try and change the past, future decisions can still be influenced. So here I am, trying so hard to convince myself and all the students here to ensure that everyone benefits at the end. Thank you for listening to my talk.